What's up? What's up? Billy Carson here, aka Forbidden Knowledge. You know what's so cool is today I was I was out at a restaurant and I walked in and there's a waiter there and his waiter's name is Joey. Great guy, great guy, phenomenal server at the restaurant, waiter, but just as a person, what a solid human being. And I walk in and he's got his hands up and he's waving the fours as I walk into the restaurant. And he was telling me, about the fact that him and his people, they listen every single day to the Forbidden Knowledge podcast and videos and clips and everything else. And so that just made me feel so good. So shout out to Joey, amazing dude, amazing guy. He has an amazing story himself. Probably going to bring him on the podcast one day, let him tell his story as well. It's very inspirational. It's a story about health and wellness. I think a lot of people will resonate with it and can probably take action behind his conscious thought that he put out there to the world and some of the things that he's done for himself to make himself a healthier person. So shout out to Joey. All right, we got a lot of people hopping in the chat here. All right. Elijah said, you're interrupting me from watching your old Anunnaki Q&As. Hey, that's what I love, man. The Anunnaki Q&As. While we have people hopping in the chat, what I'm going to do real quick, I'm going to look up here on this big screen and grab a link. And I'm going to send a quick text message out so that people can get the notifications. Because as we know, for whatever reason, they all don't go out. So I'm going to drop a link to the text message people who requested that right quick. And then we're going to get on with the show. We'll be talking about electric vehicles. Are they going to be detrimental to mankind? That's a big question, huge question. All right. And I think that it's a topic that needs to be discussed, in depth, which is what we're going to do tonight. I'm just dropping this link right here. I'm going to tell them we're talking about our electric vehicles. Detrimental. Are they going to lead us to our downfall? A lot of people filling up in the chat. Make sure you like and share this video. Make sure you click that like button, please. It helps with the algorithm. And if you can share this link to this video, that'd be another great help as well. As I'm sending out the text message now, that should help get a lot more people notified that we're live. All right, I see people filling up from everywhere. Wow, all over the place. We're going to talk about the topic, but we're also, at the end of this, we're going to talk about, a possible solution, some ideas that I had come up with myself that I believe would be the ultimate solution, and also interim solution, or maybe an intermediate solution as well to the problem. We've been sold a bill of goods on the electric vehicle green machines. And a lot of people just don't really understand or know what's really going on with these electric vehicles. It looks like they're super green and they're safe for the environment, and it's a new way to go because it's going to get us out of fossil fuels, which is a whole nother podcast, because there's no such thing as a fossil fuel, because fuel doesn't come from fossils, dead foliage and all that kind of garbage. It's an ambiotic fluid of the earth. The earth makes oil. But that's another podcast. Maybe I'll come back to that at a later date. But we've been sold this bill of goods that this is going to save us from the oil crisis. Well, there's never going to be peak oil. Peak oil will actually never run out because the earth produces oil, as well as the fact that peak oil is a scam used by the elites and the people who invest in futures and commodities to be able to drive prices up and create artificial inflation so that they can profit on options when they play futures options on the commodities market. And so they've now migrated into electric, or EVs, and we're thinking that EVs is going to be the solution to get us away from oil, when in actuality, it really hasn't. And the path that it's leading us down is creating even more problems. that people have not been able to see yet. But I've been able to see them because I've been talking about it for a very long time. And so they sound cool. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, when I first heard about it, I was like, man, this is cool. Let me check these cars out. But like I do with everything, I do my research. And the more I looked into electric cars and the more I researched the technology used to create these batteries, I began to realize something interesting. The more I researched what was used to create the interiors of these cars, started scratching my head and started realizing, man, we're still in the same old loop. First of all, if you have an electric car, 60% of people who plug their electric car in, the electricity is coming from a power station that uses oil or gas to create the electricity. So you're still using oil or gas, number one, in most cases. The other problem that you have is the range of these cars. The range of these cars is very, very small, 300 to 500 miles. And that sounds like a lot of miles to some people, maybe some people who don't leave their zip code, but 300 to 500 miles is not very far, especially if you're trying to get away from a disaster or a situation. If you're trying to migrate, like I live close to Miami, Florida, right? Imagine driving all the way up the state of Florida in an electric vehicle during a hurricane, evacuation. What are those people going to do? Trying to get out of Florida. It takes hours to get out of Florida, right? And gas stations and electric pumps and electric stops, along the way are going to be maxed out. The wait for the line to get to charging could be as much as an hour or so, maybe more. And so if you're looking at an average person leaving in a car and then coming back to their house or their office, the distance is also really cut in half, because if the range is 300 miles, which is most vehicles, right? 300 miles, that's only 150 miles in one direction, because at some point you have to turn around and come back to your starting point. So your range is really half of what the total miles are. You can't think, well, I got 500 miles I can drive. Yeah, but you still got to come back home. You still got to come back to the house, which means your range is half of that. Good friend of mine and a big-time Grammy-nominated TV producer, Sid Goldberg, he bought an electric car. And he took me out to dinner. I was in Colorado a couple of months back. He took me out to dinner in it. And the only complaint he had was that he has no range. They had to rent a car to go travel somewhere because his car wouldn't make it and there'd be nowhere to charge it. So we have this situation where electric cars have a problem in that aspect. But let's look a little bit deeper. Let's look a little bit deeper as to what's going on with these electric cars. Okay. So we know that the electric car, the interior pieces have a lot of plastic in them. I remember when I was younger, I was like, I just wish that these electric cars were, the gas. I wish that gas cars would just be eliminated. And if we eliminate gas cars, then we would have no more problem. People wouldn't want oil. There would be no more wars over oil and all this kind of stuff, right? But I was wrong, because almost everything has oil in it. And when I say everything, I mean almost everything. The majority of the plastic pieces that are inside these cars that make up the interior have petroleum in them, right? Plastic has petroleum in it, right? The microphone has a plastic case on it. This case is made of petroleum. My laptop has a plastic case on it. That case is made of petroleum. The camera I'm looking at right now has got a plastic casing on it. That casing is made out of petroleum. We have been infiltrated with oil at everywhere we turn. Every device, every piece of technology, everything you touch and hold and utilize every single day, 70 to 80% of the things you touch every single day are made with oil as one of the main ingredients, including the food you eat, which is oil is used as an insecticide, combining some of the insect products that they use to spray on the fields. So it's everywhere. So they've literally involved this this substance in everything and almost everywhere. You almost can't escape it. Even this keyboard. Look, I have a wireless keyboard right here, right? This keyboard is made from oil. It's made of oil. All the plastic bags at the grocery store, all made of oil. Your toothbrush that you brush your teeth with, made of oil. Do you get the picture now? You understand what I'm saying? Everything is made from oil. This is how they designed it. They decided that if we we integrate oil into everything, they'll never escape us. Because industries will grow so large that for them to cut it off and stop cold turkey, it would put millions of people out of business and out of work overnight, and that can never happen. So they know that they've got a noose around our necks. Electric cars' interiors are made primarily of oil. When you plug it in, you're using oil from down the street. But then we have some other issues with the electric cars that a lot of people just really don't want to talk about. All right. So let's have a look at some of those things as well. We're talking about the fact that there's going to be a lot of waste coming up. A lot of waste. It's called the dead battery dilemma, and it's coming. Millions of electric cars set to hit the road, and scientists are saying that people better be ready to recycle because there's going to be millions of cars coming in to the junkyards over a period of time. These EV cars, they're not good for reselling and using over and over again. And these batteries, when they go down, they go down. That's it. But the problem with these batteries is they're made of super toxic chemicals and super toxicity. So you have the cobalt, you have the lithium, you have the chemical exchanges in the battery parts. And the problem with this is they are finding now that a dump full of EV car batteries, which has been piling up in some countries, by the way, like China, is far worse than engine blocks as far as to the actual soil. And these dumps where these battery parts are going, the toxicity, the chemicals are leaching into the water supply. And it's far more toxic than what we've seen in a very, very long time. So not only do we have the microplastics in the water supply that they can't even filter out at your local water facilities, but they also now you're going to be drinking toxic fluid from burnt out EV batteries, not to mention that they become extremely explosive in their corroded state and prone to start random fires. So imagine all these millions of cars coming in, turning in for their deathbed all around the world, getting piled up, and then sparking random fires, leaching chemicals into the water, leaching chemicals into the soil, literally just destroying and eating and corroding the earth itself. This is a major problem. Now, some people have started to try to find solutions to the problem in terms of recycling. But the issue that they're running into with recycling is this. There's so many different types of batteries that they can't really isolate any specific type of recycling technique that will encompass all of them. So we're facing a very, very big problem, a very big problem. You literally can't, there's not one recycling place that's going to be able to break down all of these batteries. They've come to that reality already, which means it's going to be a ton of different types of recycling startups popping up all over the place, but they're only going to be able to do a tiny percentage of the batteries themselves because there's not a generalized format. Every battery is totally different from every different type of supplier. And we're talking about now, we're into hundreds of different types of batteries. So we're looking at a global problem that's just looming over us, just like the real estate market collapse was. You can see it building, and everybody kept going to work and acting like everything was okay until the collapse came. The same thing is going to happen with the EV cars. The same exact thing. Remember this day, remember my voice. I'm telling you, the same exact thing is going to happen with these EV cars. There's going to be a collapse. Okay, it's going to be a problem with this. It's a major, major issue and a major situation. And this is something that we really need to take our time in understanding and address, because it's something that's going to cause a global economic and also ecologic catastrophe. Okay. And it's really, it's really a shame what's going on with the mining for the materials. I forget the young lady's name now. There's a young lady, somebody in the chat help me. She's all about promoting the green, and she stood up before the UN and talked about everybody needs to stop flying in airplanes and get electric cars. I forget her name now. But one thing this young lady doesn't understand is where the materials, the raw materials are coming from to create. Yes, thank you, Rebecca, or Greta. So Greta, she's the face of the movement for the green, and which is fantastic. She has something that she believes in. But what she doesn't really understand yet, though, is she hasn't done her research on what's happening with these EVs and these batteries. She wants everybody to have an electric car to save the world. Well, they're not really saving the world. What they're doing is enslaving another race of people. And you have 6-year-old kids mining down in the mines with 20 minutes of oxygen, mining this ore that's needed worldwide, making a couple dollars a day, if that. The average income in the Congo, where 70% of the cobalt and lithium comes from, they only make about $1 a day on average. But keep this in mind. The people walking on that land are standing and walking on top of trillions of dollars in resources. Not millions, not billions. They're walking on top of trillions of dollars in resources. Why do you think 70% of the world, including all the major corporations, are using the Congo to get this cobalt and this lithium? Even though you can find this cobalt and this lithium in other places on the planet, like America, like Canada, like Europe. But guess what? Over there's a lot of rules and regulations that have to be followed, safety regulations, guidelines, and the price goes up because of security and protocols and everything else. But guess what? I don't want to use the S-H-I, T word, but you could take a poop on those people over there because they don't have anybody to fight for them. And they're so broke and poor, they actually need the money. So what do? You take advantage of those people. And you can bypass rules, regulations, laws. You can pay off people. You can pay off people in their polytrickster governments and allow the export of these raw materials to these major corporations. And you can save a lot of money on your bottom line. So you can continue to make billions of dollars as a corporation at the expense of 6-year-old kids that are down there using their bare hands to pull cobalt out of the earth. You see what I'm talking about now, Greta? Do some research. Take a look at what I'm talking about. Don't get angry. Just take a look at what I'm talking about. Matter of fact, let me play a clip for you here real quick. Hang tight, guys. Let's watch this clip.
Growing up literally without a childhood, we showed you yesterday how the mineral cobalt is most often unearthed in the Democratic Republic of Congo, also known as DRC. Many top electronic and electric vehicle companies need cobalt to help power their products.
We spoke with some of the companies that use cobalt in lithium-ion batteries. All acknowledged problems with the supply chain, but said they require suppliers to follow responsible sourcing guidelines. Apple is an industry leader in the fight for responsible sourcing, but it says walking away from the DRC, quote, would do nothing to improve conditions for the people or the environment.
To provide for his family. I have to go and work there, he told us, because my grandma has a bad leg and she can't.
So you make the money for the family?
There is no one to look after her, he said. I am the one who helps. It's a common story in the DRC. Kids need to work to survive. I feel very bad because I can see my friends going to school, Ziki told us, and I'm struggling.
Children mining. The Democratic Republic of Congo is rich in minerals, but most are poor here, and the young are working everywhere. It's often the only way to survive.
So, as I was saying, guys and gals, we're facing a major problem. Anytime that another human being is being oppressed for the benefit of another, we have a problem on this planet. Anytime that you can turn a blind eye to children doing the labor, hard labor, that even grown men would fold under, we have a major problem. They have kids down there in mines that are in holes so tiny, only small kids can fit in. That's why they use the kids, because the grown adults can't fit. They're down there with no helmets, no tools, just a thin handmade rope and their bare hands clawing at the earth for hours a day so that you can drive around in an electric car and say that you're green now. Think about that meditate on that for a minute. It's not only that though, it's cell phone batteries, it's laptop batteries. We have a major problem here that we've gone down the road of a technology that utilizes a power source, a power storage source that has to put kids into child labor. And you might as well say it's, indentured servantry, just slavery, modern day slavery, for pennies. The average person over there for mining for probably 60, 70 hours a week with their bare hands will get a couple $100. So even though there's other locations to get this stuff, many other locations where these kind of conditions won't happen, this is where they choose to get it from. They choose to have the people of the Congo go out, men, women, and children, and scrape and claw at the land all day with their bare hands so they can save more money, so they can be more competitive in the market. You see? And not only that, it's toxic. You have forced child labor, you have oppression, you have corruption of government, you have illegal exporting, because the way that they export these raw materials is actually illegal, but these major corporations keep buying it, so they keep sending it out. That's 4 major charges right there, right? Then you get it to a factory that has a carbon footprint larger than GM to make the cars. So the carbon footprint to print these cars and build these cars is larger than an engine block factory. The carbon footprints for these factories are massive. What are they using for power sources? Oil, gas, electricity. They're not running those factories don't run on EV batteries. They're running on oil and gas. They have a huge carbon footprint, not only to construct them, to run them and power them, so they can pump out green cars that are toxic to the environment, that were created using forced child labor. Think about that for a minute. Just meditate on it. Just meditate on it for a minute. Like the topic of this is, could electric cars be leading humanity to its own demise? Until we're all free, nobody's free. And so we have a problem here. Therein lies the problem. So, it's just, I scratch my head because the people of the Congo, right there where you see it highlighted in yellow, that's the Congo. Look how massive that is. I'm not sure if you can understand that's the size of that country, but if you were to overlay that over the United States, you'd find that it'd take up most of the United States. And those people there should all be trillionaires. They should all be trillionaires, but they're not, because multi-billion-dollar corporations have discovered a way to keep them poor while they become more wealthy. Instead of saying, you know what? This area is got a huge supply of what we need to create this type of battery technology that we need, right? The storage medium for a power source. Why don't we dedicate a few $1 billion each, since we're all using the same type of, raw material, we, us, meaning different corporations making these batteries. Let's all invest a few billion each, and we'll put together a complete system in this area where we'll train people, we'll create safe mines, we'll have security, we will have training, we'll have all of the safety, functionality, and features and tools that they need to do it right. We will ban children from working. There'll be like a regular, normal job. People will come and they'll punch in and they'll go to work and they'll mine. And that, to me, that's still not the best option. But if you're going to do it, at least set some type of standard. At least, how do these people even go to sleep at night knowing that to make their product and to reach all these multi-billion-dollar goals on the stock market, that kids had to claw at the ground for 10 hours a day until their hands bled? What kind of craziness? What kind of craziness is this? This is what's happening right now. This is why I'll never buy an EV. I'll never buy an electric car. In my personal opinion, I've been talking about this for a long time. To me, it's just not the right way to go. And it's not the right type of technology. It's not even close to being the right type of technology. And I'm going to tell you what the right type of technology is. But before I do that, before I get to the ultimate technology, I'll talk a little bit about what I would do if I was going to create an electric vehicle. Because there's a way to make an electric vehicle a little bit safer, a little bit more friendly to the environment without forced child labor. How do I know this? Because I actually invented my own battery. I invented my own battery actually some time ago. I'll play a little clip for you here. All right, hang tight. I'm going to play a clip for you guys. What's up, guys? Billy Carson here for Better Knowledge. Looking at the very first-class space agency battery prototype for brownouts in third world countries. Weighs about 130, 140 pounds, can sustain a small house or a small office for about 4 or 5 days. And right now you're looking at this 800 watt power inverter and also a mini space heater. So I've got everything connected here. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the power inverter. You can hear it kick in. And let's turn on the heat. Now I'll use this digital thermometer. See if we can figure out how hot this thing is going to get. Oh, it's going up right away, guys. Oh yeah. Guess it works. First class space agency, guys. Just call me the Black Tony Stark. The Black Tony Stark. I made that battery about, I don't know now, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. It's for my space agency. So my theory was, in space travel, what are you going to need? You're going to need a power source that can trickle charge by solar, that can trickle charge by solar. You have plenty of solar in space because you have the sun out there. And then when you get to another planet or moon, you'll also have a capability of trickle charging with solar. It can also take a rapid charge. And guess what? There's no cobalt and no lithium in there. There's no cobalt and no lithium in that battery. And it could power a small house for 4 days. 4 days. Now, you're not going to power a house with a pool and 5 AC systems and everything else. But if you got a refrigerator, some fans, maybe even a small window AC, a microwave oven to get through a disaster, it'll do it. It'll do it. And guess what? It doesn't leak. There's no water in there. There's no maintenance required. You could turn it upside down, sideways. Nothing's going to fall out of it. Nothing's going to leak out of it. Okay? Because the materials that I use on the inside absorb a certain type of acid, a medium, and holds on to it. All right? And so, but that's a whole nother podcast I can do. I talked about that battery. I had a huge order for 1 million of those from Nigeria right before the global sickness happened. And then the global sickness came and the order didn't finalize. But That was a $360 million deal right there for my battery, just right there. But I'll get it back again. But yeah, so anyway, that's my battery, right? Now, let's talk a little bit about what I would do. I would take batteries like this, and I would make a bank of them inside of a car. That's what I would do. If I was going to do electric, this would be, to me, a much better way. So I'll show you something here. You've all seen this. These are flakes that go inside of paint. But you can take these same flakes and you can make these flakes mini solar collecting panels. Each one of these flakes can collect solar energy, and then you mix it into the paint, right? So you've seen these cars before, cars with flakes in them, but the flakes aren't functional. What if you can take these flakes and make them functional? That's really the key. Make the flakes functional, and now you got something incredible here. You can paint a car with the flakes, all right? And so that's what you want to be able to do. You want to be able to take flakes that have the capability of capturing photons, radiation. Now you actually mix it in a specific type of paint. That paint is going to be on induction plates. We've seen induction plates. This is an induction plate that will charge your cell phone. So you put your cell phone on top of it, and it uses an induction method to actually charge your cell phone, right? So what you do, it's very simple. You actually make the body panels of the car from induction plates. So you have the interior part of the paneling. It will be a multi-layered frame. So the first part of the layer of the frame will be aluminum or steel, whatever you're using on your fabrication process. The second thing that you would do is you would actually utilize for the actual vehicle itself and the car assembly line, the exterior part of the second layer of the metal would be an induction plate system. So the car would be induction plate as it comes down the actual assembly line. All right. So it's coming down the assembly line. It's being put together, but at the same time it's being put together, the body panel parts are induction plates. This is real simple stuff. I'm taking you down this thing step by step by step. Once you have the induction plates on the car and you have you've now painted it with the flakes that collect solar energy, the induction plate body panels are wired. They're connected to a wiring device that goes directly into a harness that goes directly into the charging pack. Okay, so now you're charging your AGM battery packs that are stored inside the car, most likely in the center of the car to keep the weight balanced. And then what do? You take the radiator. The radiator is going to perform a certain type of function as well in this. Now, in most cars, you don't have a radiator that are electric. You don't need a radiator, but in this car, you would need a radiator for cooling. Okay, you need a radiator for cooling, but it's going to be able to keep the area surrounding the batteries cool so they won't expand too much. What else do you need to make a car like this? You have now the solar flakes painted onto the car. You have the body panels as induction plates. You actually have the car connected to a harness package that's going to a battery. The next thing you need is you need to be able to do brakes. You need to be able to recharge your batteries also by braking power. That technology already exists. It's called regenerative braking, okay? And it's a mechanism found on most hybrid and electric vehicles right now today. So you take the regenerative braking, where anytime you press the brakes, it creates a certain amount of friction. That friction is captured, converted into charging energy, which goes back into your non-cobalt battery pack that's stored, that's mounted inside the car. And now by this method, you don't plug your car in, because guess what? Your car charges itself just by parking it outside, okay? You park your car outside, you drive your car around. While you're driving it, it's trickle charging. When the batteries get full, the charging automatically cuts off so that you don't burn the batteries out. This is real simple, basic A, B, C, D, E, F, G technology. It's so simple that it's mind-blowing. It's so simple that it's mind-blowing. If I can think that up myself, If I had the time, I would just build one. It's too easy. It's too easy. You don't think they know this? No, they got you thinking you got to plug your car in. You need power, plug it into this system. They got you thinking that, if you don't plug your car in, you can't go anywhere because there's no other technology out there that's going to keep you going. There's no way to recharge your batteries other than plugging in. That's ridiculous. They don't even have the infrastructure to handle the amount of cars that are getting released. The amount of EVs that are getting released, there's no infrastructure to handle it. It's really crazy. There's no infrastructure for this. People are waiting in lines. People are already backed up waiting in lines. Here's a photo. I'm going to show you a photo. They're waiting in lines to get their cars charged. This was Thanksgiving 2022. People waiting for hours because they're running out of power, trying to make it to their families for Thanksgiving. This is the foolishness that's going on. And they got people out here thinking they got, they have the best thing since sliced bread. No, they're driving around in a toxic, chemical-based car that was produced based off the forced child labor from some poor kid in the Congo, or some woman scraping at the earth all day for 10 hours and with a baby on her hip, just so she can feed the baby. I mean, come on, man. This is crazy. It's just crazy. So, like I say, I like to bring solutions. So one of the solutions I would bring, and the best way for me to produce a car would be a hydrogen-powered vehicle. Hydrogen, right? That means you can use water to power your car. Now, I know about Stanley Meyer. I was one of the very first people to talk about Stanley Meyer. I actually watched Stanley Meyer, who invented this water-powered car years ago when I was a little kid. When it came on the news, I was standing there with my mom watching it. This is back in the 80s. I'm going to play a little clip for you.
The top, our news here at 6 o'clock, an age-old dream becoming a reality. A local inventor has discovered a way, hear this, to use water to run your car.
It's a major breakthrough that will no doubt make motorists happy. And as Ralph Robinson explains, the Pentagon is also showing lots of interest in this project.
Water has always been considered a precious commodity, but Stan Meyer's invention may make it even more valuable. He has developed what's called a water fuel cell. It has taken the place of his old gas tank. The water fuel cell breaks down water molecules into oxygen and hydrogen. The hydrogen is used to run his dune buggy.
I don't care if you use rainwater, well water, city water, ocean water. If you don't have any fresh water, go ahead and use snow. If you don't have any snow available to you, they use salt water because there's no adverse effect to the fuel cell.
Meyer started working on this project 4 years ago. He's not a scientist. He isn't even a chemist. In fact, he never graduated from college. Myers was determined, he says, to design something to protect this country from oil embargoes.
And we have calculated that if we take the dune buggy from Los Angeles to New York, we would roughly use 22 gallons of water.
The Pentagon flew a lieutenant colonel in last week to look at Meyer's invention. There is talk of possibly using it in the Star Wars defense program and to run Army tanks. Myers is currently perfecting a water fuel cell for cars. It will cost about $1,500. He says it won't need any maintenance, and you won't have to replace it. It'll be at least 2 years before the fuel system goes into mass production. The day it happens will be one the fuel industry hates, but it'll put a smile on the face of those who've had to say at one time or another, fill her up. I'm Ralph Robinson.
As you can see, many patents have already been received, and many more are forthcoming. To date, over 42 patents have been applied for.
So there you guys go. Stanley Meyer. Now, he met with the Pentagon at a country restaurant. I think it's called Country Crock or something like that. One of those country restaurants on the side of the highway. He met there with his brother and the Pentagon. And during the process of this negotiation, he started feeling extremely sick while eating the food. He ran out of the restaurant screaming, "They poisoned me, they poisoned me," and he died right there in the parking lot. That's what happened to Stanley Meyer back in the 80s. They took his technology, the military did, and they utilized it. They have Navy ships using his same exact technology today. There's Navy ships that never have to come to port. You can look this up. They've been declassified for a very long time. All you have to do is just literally extract the water, the salt water from the ocean, but through a simple process of electrolysis, They then extract the hydrogen atoms, push them into a chamber for combustion, and they can run that ship indefinitely because they're on top of trillions and trillions of gallons of water. This is called the ocean. They never have to come back. Okay. So pretty interesting, right? So, but now, guess what has happened? Water cars have been getting approved. Cars that use hydrogen. They're trying now to race to take that over as well and find a way to cap and limit how much a person can drive, how far they can go, and everything else. All right, so that's the problem we are facing. But the ultimate way to go forward or move forward is with hydrogen-powered cars. This beautiful element right here, hydrogen on the periodic table, that is the future of vehicle combustion, of driving. When you have hydrogen and you're using that for combustion, the only emission you get is steam. So the only thing coming out of the tank of the car or the truck or the bus or the van or whatever you're driving is going to be steam. That's the side effect. Steam, clean, pure, true green. And they've known this for a very, very, very long time, long before they tried to make this big push for EVs. The cleanest way, the most efficient way to go would be by using hydrogen, right? And so there is a hydrogen car. Here's one. This is the Hyundai Nexo. It runs on water. It's a hydrogen-powered car. The Hyundai Nexo, a real car that does exist, okay? And it's out right now. So these hydrogen cars do exist. It is the next wave. It's the future of vehicles. Rolls-Royce has partnered with Hyundai. Matter of fact, they're a partner in that motor as well, to build hydrogen-powered cars and even hydrogen-powered jet engines, which they've just produced the very first hydrogen-powered jet engine. Rolls-Royce and Hyundai combined together, collaboration. Okay, and they're not the only ones. There's a couple of hypercars out there that run on water as well. You just simply use an electrolysis process to extract the hydrogen from the water. So you extract the hydrogen, pull it away, pull the molecule, pull the hydrogen away from the oxygen, push the hydrogen into the combustion chamber, and the oxygen is just released. So now you have a clean, safe combustion. It's the way to go. A gallon of gas, which will be water, you can drive from New York to California on 22 gallons. Okay, this is the way to go. Hydrogen is the future of humanity in combustion or in engines, period. So in jets and buses and everything else, you're going to see this huge spike because of laws and rules that have already been made in electric cars. And then you're going to see a collapse of the electric car, just like you saw the collapse of the real estate market at some point in the future. I'm not sure exactly when, but you will see that. And then you'll see the next big push will be hydrogen. That's going to be the next big push. Cars that are powered by hydrogen. That's what's going to happen. That's going to be the trend. So if you're playing the stock market or whatever else, you know the trend. It's going to build in EVs, and then EVs are going to collapse because it's not sustainable. It's been pitched and billed as sustainable, but in true reality, it's not. It's detrimental. And notice how the military of this country, they always jump and run into any other country for help, to help them and stop the wrongdoing and the evil that's going on. We have to bring democracy to the world, right? And when they get done, they leave the whole place looking like a pile of dust. They kill everybody, steal all the resources. It was a humane thing. We had to go do it. But they never have a humane mission going into Africa anywhere, right? There's never a humane mission to go there. Because why? Because they've been stealing and raping that country and those people in that country for so long. And it's going to continue until we all stand up and fight against the oligarchs and tell them no more. You're not going to be allowed to do this anymore. You know, I should have pulled this video clip up for today. Doggone it. I wish I had it up here. If you watch a lot of foreign news, you'll find a lot of information that you won't find on American news. They'll never air it. It's banned from over here. I remember back when Obama was in office, he actually had a private war. Him and Hillary Clinton had a private war in Sudan using American tax dollars, nonetheless. Now, listen, this is very important. Make sure you listen closely to what I'm saying. He's banned from going over there. If he lands there, he's going to prison. Look it up. Black people have banned him from going to certain countries in Africa for what he did, what him and Hillary Clinton did. They had a private oil war. Some major corporations came to him. They found resources in Sudan, came to him. They put together an entire strike, a military strike. They went there and displaced 250,000 men, women, and children from their own land and houses in a very rural, impoverished area. People, we call them poor, but they were actually rich because they didn't have any expenses. Kicked them off their own land with military force using our soldiers, American soldiers. Look this up. Put 250,000 people out in the wilderness to starve and die. To starve and die, which most of them actually did. Took over their land. Why? Because their land had billions of dollars of resources that nobody knew existed, but they found it via satellite technology. They took over the land and they renamed the area South Sudan. And then up popped within less than 2 years, tons of American corporations, all guarded by U.S. military forces. And to date, that area has literally earned and generated billions and billions of dollars in revenue from those resources. This is what's happened all around the world. This keeps happening. Politics is so corrupt, it'll make a black man destroy black people. This is why I don't mess with these tricksters. These people are crazy. They don't care about you. They will tell you they love you and this and that, and they're here to make a change and everything else. But guess what? When I go back to the hood where I grew up in Miami, it's worse. It's not even the same. It's worse. I've seen 6 presidents now in my lifetime. I'm going on 7 now. 7 presidents in my lifetime. And guess what? My hood has never changed. Not one. It's only gotten worse. And every hood I go to gets worse. Places that weren't even hoods are now hoods. And we're sending billions of dollars of money to Ukraine and all these other people all over the world. Israel, they getting billions of dollars a month. Meanwhile, there's people in America that can't eat, that's sleeping on the street. They can't drink their own water, can't even bathe in their own water. These people are psychos, man. Like I said before, there is no such thing as a Democrat or a Republican. It doesn't exist. Wipe it out of your brain. The only thing that does exist is an elite group of oligarchs that torture men, women, and children worldwide. That exists. That is a fact, and that's something you can prove. Look at the history. Just track everywhere what every president has sent the military through their entire reign to bring democracy. Venezuela, we got Reagan, right? You just keep going. Just go down the list. Everywhere we've gone, we've brought destruction on the people. Murder and killing. We've killed people, killed children. We've blown up school buses, blown up hospitals. We call it collateral damage. All for what? Chasing the almighty dollar. Chasing resources that didn't belong to us, that we can now install a puppet dictator, so now those resources do belong to us. And eventually, there's going to be a battle over control of the Congo. Remember this day that I told you this. Remember this day. 70% of the cobalt comes from that one area. There's going to be a private war over control of those people and those cobalt mines. It's going down. It's going to happen. And the more we sit back and kick our feet up and watch the world burn and don't say anything, we're just in full collusion with the atrocity that's being laid out to these people. We're in collusion. We might as well say we're helping. We're assisting. We're collaborating with them. Why? Because of our silence. Our silence means, yes, do it. We approve. That's what the silence means. That's why I tell you guys, every year, when it's time to, every 4 years when it's time to vote, I go and get in the line, just like everybody else. When I get to the front of that line, I don't vote for these people running for president. I put my name on the ballot. I do a write-in ballot. Write my name, Billy Carson. Boom. I'm the president. And when I walk out of there, I put my chest up, my head up high, because I'm now the president again. I've just renewed my presidency. That's how I operate up here, you see? I do that every 4 years. You don't believe me? Go to my Billy Carson Instagram and scroll back. You'll see I post it. I post my vote for myself. Stop believing in these corporations and these poly tricksters and putting them on these high pedestals. These people don't care about you. They don't care about anybody in the world. They care about one thing and one thing only: money. That's all they care about. What can they get out of this thing before they get out of office? How much can they enrich themselves before they get out of office? At the expense of how many ever human beings it takes. Over 1 million Iraqis were killed for absolutely no reason other than taking over the oil, period. And that included hospitals with people in it, school buses with kids in it, and even schools, grade schools were blown up with kids in class at the actual time that the schools were blown up. But you're not seeing that pasted all over the news 24/7 over here. Why not? They control everything. Just like they're controlling this EV situation. What's the biggest thing that they can control with you with these electric cars? They can control your movement. They can control where you go and how far you can go. And at any given time, if they don't want you moving, they'll just turn off the power grid. Click. You're done. They'll turn the power grid off. You're frozen. You can't go nowhere. You're done. It's just another way of controlling you. Just another control mechanism. A master power off switch is sent from a satellite to turn your car off. It's off. You can't start it again. It's off. Remember these words now. Remember what I told you. Remember what I told you. These cars are big, big trouble for humanity. Huge trouble. Massive trouble. And it's only going to become evident as we rise and build towards the collapse of the EV. After that, we'll come to our senses, switch over to hydrogen. But it's going to be a minute before we get there. We got to go through the collapse first. But it's coming. Oh, I guarantee you it is coming. It's not sustainable. It's less sustainable than combustion engines. It's less sustainable than combustion engines. All right. Anyway, guys, I got a couple things I want to do. I got to run here soon, so I'm going to let you know about a couple things I have going on. Don't forget about the Manifest Destiny workshop coming up in just a couple of days. Sunday, 10 hours. I got a 10-hour class coming up on Sunday, and I want you to be there, be a part of it. It's going to teach you how to navigate through this matrix. As you can see, we're living in a matrix. How to navigate through this matrix, how to learn how to become a master manifester to manifest your own reality, the reality that you actually want. All right, so let me play this clip. Hi, my name is Billy Carson, aka Forbidden Knowledge. You must be a part of my Manifest Destiny 2023 workshop. The last 4 years were absolutely amazing, and every year it got bigger and bigger as I impacted and touched more than 130,000 lives. With over 10,000 amazing testimonials over the last 4 years, this is something to grow on. This year is going to be the biggest and best year ever. All new science, all new quantum mechanics, all new metaphysics, all new manifesting techniques in a fully interactive online workshop that's going to blow your mind and set you and your family up for the rest of 2023. We have amazing guest speakers. We have the worldwide Tim Story. He's a life coach to the stars. He's an amazing teacher and a multi-times best-selling author on New York Times. We also have Elizabeth Hoekstra, another best-selling author, and her specialty is how to deal with the shadow work and the trauma, and how to clear your mind, and how to use modalities to clear your consciousness to help you get to higher levels. We also have Antonina coming on to teach trauma relief in a fully interactive trauma release class taught by a licensed person to help you release the trauma from your body. Trauma that's been impacted and stored in your body for a very long time. And I'm coming on to help teach all the manifesting techniques, the technology of the human body, how to access it, how to use it, how to fully utilize the laws of attraction to bend the matrix to your will and create the reality that you and your family deserve. Make sure you click the link ASAP in the caption of this video or in my bio and sign up on Eventbrite ASAP because space is limited. I want to see you there. Be ready for an explosive 2023. Peace. All right, guys, thank you for all the chat donations today, by the way. I saw them, but I couldn't get to post all of them on screen. But I appreciate every single one of those. All of it, 100% goes to helping underprivileged children. So we really appreciate that. Thank you very, very much. We really appreciate you for making those chat donations. They go to a very, very worthy cause. As you saw in the video that we did a pop-up podcast, I believe it was yesterday or the day before yesterday. If you didn't, go back and watch the video that's on this account, the last one we did, which talks about the kids that we help at CIS. And also we had one of the board of directors here at my house talking to them about how the funds are used. Only 10% goes to overhead. That means 90% gets to the children. That's very, very rare. And it's an incredible program. And that's where we put the funds. So thank you very, very much. I have to go on Instagram Live in about 10 minutes with Tim Story and Elizabeth Hoekstra to talk about manifesting. So if you want to hear me talk about manifesting for about 15 or 20 minutes on Instagram Live and Forbidden Knowledge Instagram account, just go to Instagram and look for Forbidden Knowledge with the number 4. I'll be live in about 10, 15 minutes, and I'll have Tim Story and Elizabeth Hoekstra on there. We're going to talk for about 15, 20 minutes about the power of manifesting. All right. So I want to see you guys there. Thanks for spending time with me today. Hopefully I've talked about the problem, but hopefully you got a little bit out of what my potential solutions would be for this EV problem that we're facing here in the world. All right. I love you guys, and I'll see you on Instagram. And if you want to register for the Manifest Destiny Workshop, I dropped the link in the chat. I'll drop it in there again one more time. I just dropped the link in the chat. You can also go to eventbrite.com, and type in Billy Carson, and all of my events will pop right up, because we even have the Forbidden Solutions for Humanity coming up February the 5th. You may want to check that out as well. All right. But until later, I'll see you guys on Instagram at Forbidden Knowledge. All right. Peace. That I love.